deadlifts and squat, we've got the hip hinge. With more so, let's just say a squat, and specifically like a front squat, we've got whole body mobility. We've got ankle, knee, hip, maintenance of spine posture, and also range of movement at shoulders as well. So we've got that with the front squat. What it's also doing is building strength into the muscle with these patterns. And that's where all of my training sort of comes from, is building of patterns. So we need to be thinking about the movements that we're doing every day. We're pushing things away from us, we're pulling things towards us. We may have to lift our body up. We will need to lift objects off the floor, which is where deadlifts and squats come in. So from an everyday function perspective, that's why these movements are so good. And then we can add in rotation, because that will be included, but let's just say to a lesser extent. So we've got strength training. Now, how long each of these stages takes, again, that's sort of that's where a sort of art comes into it. The science, I've set up the 12, obviously the building low back strength endurance as a 12-week program. So there is a beginning and an end to it. Because with regards to something online, there needs to be a beginning and an end. But it may mean that it needs to go on a little bit further. It may mean that you complete it a little bit quicker. That is, again, that's down to your individual sort of perspective and fitness. But when it comes to strength training, again, there's the art to it. There is no time limit on that, but you will need to build the patterns, and you will need to build strong patterns, which is why we talk about these pulls and pushes. And when we do these pulls and pushes, what we're looking at, again, is range of movement of the limbs, so the hips and the shoulders, and in some respects, the elbows and the knees. And when we talk about front squat, the ankle as well, and also wrist flexion as well, so that will come into it. And also, we need to build in proper maintenance of the spine. So again, as I mentioned, we talk about that during proper lifting, but we're doing that at much lower loads. What we need to do is do that at a much higher load, which is where the strength training comes in, which is where muscle activation comes in, which is where the maintenance of these tissues come in. And when we do it under load, our body can use that stress as like an indicator of it's being used, therefore I'm going to keep it. Because if it's not being used, you will lose it. So we need to maintain the range of movement, we need to maintain the posture of the spine, and we need to maintain the load within these two. And then what your body will do is it will learn those positions, and those positions will become second nature. So that is, without going into sort of detail about the exercises and how to do them and this, that and the other, that is essentially why we do strength training, certainly at sort of building a robust lower back level, is maintaining patterns and maintaining function, because we're using load, which indicates the function that we are requiring from our body.